Yeah.
Good morning and welcome to the Lyon County Board of County Commissioners meeting for Thursday, November 20th, 2025. Board of County Commissioners convening as other boards. Members of the Board of County Commissioners also serve as the Liquor Board, Central Lyon Vector Control District Board, Mason Valley Mosquito Abatement District Board, Walker River Weed Control District Board, Willow Creek General Improvement District Board, the Silver Springs General Improvement District Board, and during this meeting may convene as any of those boards as indicated on this or a separately posted agenda. This meeting may break between 11:30 and 1:30 for lunch. In chambers, we have Commissioner Jacobson, Casanelli, Hockaday, and myself, and Commissioner Keller is in attendance online. The first thing we'll do is have the invocation given by Gary Least of Calvary Chapel, Dayton Valley.
Good morning. Let's pray. Heavenly Father God, we come before you this day with grateful hearts. We ask for your blessing upon this commission and every public servant that's gathered in this room. Lord, we grant them the wisdom and the clarity to discern what's right and insight beyond this moment and understanding to govern in justice and integrity. Lord, we ask you to give them the strength that they need to bear the weight and responsibility to stand firm in the face of challenges. Lord, we ask for them to have patience and endurance, patience and deliberation, patience with one another, patience as they navigate the complexities of leadership. And Lord, we also ask that you would breathe into them courage to uphold the truth, to make difficult decisions, and courage to lead in ways that honor and bless this county. Lord, we ask that you would protect their families and you would provide them peace and provision. And finally, Lord, we pray for the protection and the well-being of our entire community. Lord, watch over our first responders, our schools, our workers, our businesses, and every household. Bring unity where there's division, hope where there's discouragement, and safety to every citizen of Lyon County. May this all be done to reflect your wisdom, strength, patience, courage, and mercy and grace for us and all blessings of those in Lyon County. Lord, we ask these things in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Commissioner Hockaday, please lead us in the pledge.
Please join me in the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for all.
Item number 4, public participation. No action will be taken on any item until it is properly agendized. It's anticipated that public participation will be held at this time, but may be returned to at any time during the agenda. Citizens wishing to speak during public participation are asked to state their name for the record and will be limited to 3 minutes. The board will conduct public comment after discussion of each agenda item, but before the board takes any action. Is there any public comment at this time?
Jim DeChambeau, Mason Valley, and I'm here to ask you to put speed bumps on Osborne Lane in front of my house to control the traffic that is speeding all the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5 for possible action, review, and adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes? Is there any public comment? Okay, I'll look for a motion.
Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Jacobson, seconded by Commissioner Hockaday. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, item 6, presentations of awards and or recognition of accomplishment. 6A, for presentation only, present dispatcher Sarah Walker with a stork pin for delivering a baby while on duty.
Good morning, Lyon County Sheriff Brad Pope for the record. Today we are honoring dispatcher Sarah Walker for her actions on June 29th, 2025. Sarah Walker demonstrated outstanding professionalism and composure during an emergency 911 call involving a woman who was 40 weeks pregnant and in active labor. Dispatcher Walker promptly gathered critical information, dispatched the appropriate medical and law enforcement units, and remained on the line to provide reassurance and guidance to the family. During the call, the mother successfully delivered a healthy baby boy, while dispatcher Walker continued to offer calm and confident communication, helping the family through an extraordinarily stressful moment. Her professionalism and empathy reflected the highest standards of service expected of the Lyon County Sheriff's Office communications personnel. Childbirth-related emergency calls are rare and require exceptional presence of mind, quick thinking, and composure. Dispatcher Walker's actions exemplify these traits and serve as a testament to her skill, dedication, and commitment to the community she serves. Recognition of her exceptional performance and her role in assisting with successful delivery of a newborn, Dispatcher Sarah Walker is hereby presented with the Lyon County Sheriff's Office Stork Pin, an award for excellence in her service. Picture. You guys want to say? Come on back.
Moving on to item 7.
Sure, just want to thank you and never know what you're going to run into on a work day at the old office. So congratulations and thank you very much.
Okay, item 7A, time certain at 9 a.m. for presentation only. Update from the Bureau of Land Management on current activities. District Manager Kimberly Dow.
Good morning, and thank you for having us here. That's a tough act to that's pretty remarkable. Thank you for having us here today to provide you some updates. And I have with me 2 assistant field managers. Sheidra Rakestraw is our assistant field manager for lands and realty and cultural, and Holly Klein is our assistant field manager for natural resources. So if we have any questions, I might defer to them. We have quite a bit that has changed since the last time I was here. So I have a lot of topics to go over. And I appreciate you giving us time today. I'll try to go through everything quickly. If I go too quickly, or if there's slides you want to skip for time, please just interrupt me and let me know. So we can go to the next slide. All right, so since the last time we met, we have new NEPA regulations. On June 30th of this year, the Department of Interior issued changes to our NEPA procedures. In the past, Each agency under the department had their own handbook that provided agency-specific guidance. And now, under this new guidance, there's just one handbook for all of the department. So we all follow the same rules now for all of our agencies. As a reminder, Forest Service is not part of Department of Interior, so they still have their own NEPA regulations. But all of the other Department of Interior agencies all follow the same regulations now. So on here I have some of the changes. So one of the changes is that there are page limits and time limits for EAs. The page limit is 75 pages and the time limit is 1 year. For environmental impact statements, we're limited to 150 pages and it must be completed in 2 years. And these timelines are also consistent with the Fiscal Responsibility Act that was passed in 2023. However, in BLM Nevada, we have had a policy in place for several years that require us to complete our environmental assessments in 6 months and our environmental impact statements in 1 year. So those will still supersede this new policy here. One of the biggest changes that you can see here for us is that public involvement is now generally limited to mandatory requirements or when it's determined to be warranted. So prior to these changes, our process was to conduct scoping and then publish a preliminary EA or a draft EIS, and then publish a final EA or a final EIS with a decision. Now, moving forward, we will likely only have, for many projects, we will only have a final EA with the decision or a final EIS with the decision. So no scoping, no preliminary document that is published for comment. There will be times when the project warrants more robust public involvement, and we'll determine that on a case-by-case basis. Sometimes there are program-specific regulations that require us to have scoping or publish a document, like with mining. Our mining regulations require us to publish the plan of operations for 30 days. So we'll have to do that. And then there may be times when it just warrants, maybe there's a lot of interest in something. And so we'll have to do scoping in those cases. But for the most part, most of our projects, you're going to see final documents coming out, and that will be the first opportunity for the general public to be involved. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Madam Chair, if I may, can you just go through some of those acronyms, EIS, EAs, that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. Let's see. So an EA is an environmental assessment. That's not the lowest form of NEPA. The lowest form is a categorical exclusion. An environmental assessment is the next level up, and that's when we determine that there's no significant impact. And that comes with a finding of no significant impact, which we call a FONSI, and a decision record. EIS is an environmental impact statement. That's when we determine that a project will have an impact. And so we publish the environmental impact statement, and then that comes with a record of decision, which we call a ROD.
Thank you.
So through this, even though the public involvement is now limited, and in often cases will not include scoping or the publication of a draft, we will still have cooperating agency and tribal consultation. So that does not change. There will still be ample opportunity for counties and other state and local agencies and tribes to participate.
So who makes the decision whether there will be that additional scoping or not?
So the way that we have worked it so far is that our default is to not do scoping or publish a draft document unless a program warrants that or requires that. And then if there is a project that is, say, very controversial or maybe just a lot of interest in it, or we really feel like we need to hear from the public because we don't have enough information, then I go to my state director and we have a conversation, and it's kind of a joint conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can you give an example of something that maybe recently?
Recently, because this has only been in effect since June, so we haven't had a lot of experience with this yet. And recently we have not done I haven't had a project yet where I've gone to the state director to ask to include scoping. But if I were to do, let's say we had a copper mine site, that would be one that I would have a conversation with my state director to say, I really think this one needs public involvement, more robust public involvement. That would be an example. Any other questions on that part? Okay, let's see, so, moving on, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act also allows project proponents to pay for expedited NEPA, meaning 6 months for an environmental assessment or 1 year for an EIS. But since we already have those timelines in place for Nevada, that doesn't really affect us too much. And then last thing on this slide, we now have 433 categorical exclusions that are available to us. And most of these were adopted by, or from other agencies. Forest Service and Department of Energy were the main agencies that we adopted those categorical exclusions from. So that has really broadened our use of categorical exclusions in the past couple of months. Next slide, unless there are any other questions on this theme. Moving on to geothermal. So we had a lease sale on October 21st. The environmental assessment was posted to e-planning. This was one where we did not do scoping or publish a preliminary. And we had 9 parcels that were nominated in the Carson City District. All of them were sold. There were 2 parcels in Churchill County, 6 parcels in Washoe County, and 1 parcel in Mineral County. You can see the little green dot right at the bottom of the map there. This map is showing the boundary of the Carson City District. So all of our parcels were sold within the Carson City District. Statewide, we sold 86 parcels, totaling 280,000 acres, and brought in approximately $9.5 million for that. Next slide. So the geothermal projects within the Carson City District, at the time that we sent this slide, the presentation in, we only had one that was in Lyon County. I now have a second one that's not on the slide that I'll tell you about. But this is the Mason Resource Confirmation Geothermal Project. It's an ORMAT project. This is about 15 miles south of Erington. It's on Forest Service land. The way that our regulations work, the BLM is responsible for processing the permitting for all geothermal on behalf of all of the other agencies. So Forest Service has the surface management. They'll authorize the access roads, but we do all of the permitting for the geothermal on their behalf. And so this project is in the baseline stage, so we're not quite at the NEPA stage yet. And their ORMAT is currently working through a lot of issues with Forest Service on the access roads. That's where this project is at, and BLM is privy to those conversations, but we're really not involved. It doesn't impact our lands. ORMAT did apply for emergency permitting on this project, meaning using the expedited permitting procedures that were authorized by the secretary that allows for us to publish or complete a project in 2 weeks that is an EA level project, or 28 days if it's an EIS level project. That has not been approved at this point. So they're following the normal NEPA process for this. Since sending in this presentation, we also received a new application, and this is for the Wabusca project, which you might be familiar with. There's already a geothermal plant there. The Open Mountain Energy is the proponent, and they are applying for 4 new resource confirmation drilling permits at the Wabusca site that were not included in the original permit. So that's an undertaking that we will start pretty soon here. Next slide. Solar. Okay, so at our last presentation, we had a pretty good discussion about solar, and there were several questions related to solar and a concern from the county that you had not been made aware of all of the projects and applications that we had received. So in June, we sent a letter to Lyon County, but also all of the other counties that are within our district, identifying the solar applications within their area of interest. So for Lyon County, the letter that we sent had 12 applications. There's only 11 on the screen here, and I'll talk about the 12th one, the Pine Nut Solar. I'll talk about that one in a couple of slides, but the other 11 projects are listed here. Starting at the top, Libra Solar, which I think is the one of the greatest interest. The NEPA was completed and the right-of-way was issued in November of last year. And the applicants still have to secure a notice to proceed before they can begin construction, and they do not yet have a notice to proceed. And I'll talk a little bit about that on the next slide. For Mason Valley Solar, Sleepy Orange, and Parker Butte, their applications have been accepted. And what that means is that we've reviewed the application, we've determined that they have met all of the requirements for the application. And so they are all now collecting baseline data. The next step for them after they collect that baseline data is to submit their reports to us. We review the reports. If we have questions, we send it back. We go back and forth. Eventually, when we accept the baseline data, then NEPA can start. NEPA does not start until the baseline data has been approved by the BLM. All of the other projects that you see underneath, starting with Winston Solar, those are all pre-NEPA. They're still in the application phase, meaning we have not yet made a determination that they have a complete application. So they don't even have a list of baseline data from us to start collecting. So they're well behind the NEPA curveball there. Next slide.
I have a question. With the changes in the federal law and the one big beautiful bill, they're not going to get those massive tax cuts anymore. Do you expect any of these to drop off due to that?
I do, and let me go to the next slide because I think the next slide will talk about another impact to the solar projects that is also going to impact them. So also at our last presentation, there were questions about the authorities that were necessary for solar projects to move forward. So in our June letter, we identified some of those authorizations that are needed, and those are listed here on this slide. But this is not an exhaustive list. Solar companies, like any BLM permit holder, is required to abide by all applicable local, state, and federal laws and permitting. So BLM's permit is just one piece of the puzzle and does not by itself allow a project to move forward. They have to have all of their permits in place. And solar projects, because they are producing energy and need space on a transmission line, also must secure a power purchase agreement from NB Energy. We call those PPAs. And there's limited space on the existing transmission lines and limited space on future transmission lines like Greenlink. And because of that, securing a PPA is often the limiting factor for solar projects. So that's not new. That was even when we presented last time, we were saying that was probably going to be the limiting factor for most of these solar projects, is that there's simply not enough space on the transmission line for them to have a viable project. But also, second main bullet here, in July of 2025, the Department of Interior issued a secretarial memo that requires secretarial review of all decisions, actions, consultations, and other undertakings related to wind and solar. The memo listed 69 items that need secretarial review, and the 69th item was all other actions. So it's everything related to wind and solar has to go to the secretary for review. BLM Nevada submitted 10 current solar projects to the secretary for review, consistent with this memo. And the 10 that were chosen were all far along in the permitting process, or they were reaching a major milestone like publishing a draft DIS. Governor Lombardo, in response to that secretarial memo, sent a letter to the secretary and requested coordination on implementation of the memo, and specifically cited 3 projects that have power purchase agreements with NB Energy that are important to the governor. Those 3 projects were Boulder Solar 3 and Dry Lake East in Southern Nevada, and Libra Solar in Mineral County, of course, with the access roads and the Gentai here in Lyon County. So those 3 projects were included in the 10 that we sent to the secretary for review. And for the Carson City District, Libra Solar was the only one in that list of 10 that went for secretarial review. So all those other projects that you saw listed, the 11 projects, were not included in the review for the secretary. So project proponents can proceed with whatever phase they're in, but they cannot move to the next phase until we have secretarial concurrence. So for example, the Mason Valley Solar Project, they're currently working on baseline surveys. They can keep collecting those baseline surveys. They can submit those baseline surveys to us. We can review them and let them know if there's any missing information or if they need to do something more. But we can't formally accept those baseline surveys and move on to NEPA until we have secretarial concurrence. The other example is Libra Solar. So that one, the right-of-way grant was issued in November, but the proponent needs several limited notices to proceed and they need a final notice to proceed. And none of that can happen until we get secretarial concurrence on that project. So for example, they need a limited notice to proceed to pave the road. That was a requirement of the county. And they cannot get that limited notice to proceed from us because we are waiting for the secretary to concur with that project. So that project is essentially paused at this point in time. And just as a note, in that letter that we sent to Lyon County, we had identified a desired NEPA kickoff date, a date that for each of those projects when we thought NEPA would start. All of those dates are now significantly delayed because they all have to get secretarial concurrence. And for all of those projects, only one has even been requested for secretarial concurrence. We haven't even asked for concurrence on the other projects. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act also provided revenue sharing provisions for solar projects, similar to what we do for oil and gas and geothermal. So prior to this, all rights of ways, whether it was solar or not, all of the money that we collect for the rental fees goes straight to the US Treasury. Now, under this, that revenue will be shared. 25% will go to the state, 25% will go to the county, and 50% will go to the US Treasury. So back to your question, Ms. Hendricks, I think that between the secretarial concurrence, the reduction in incentives, I think all of that will at least delay the projects. I think a lot of those projects will be put on hold, if not withdrawn.
Thank you.
Next slide. Okay, so moving on to transmission and battery storage. So GreenLink, you guys are probably familiar with the GreenLink projects. There's two of them, the GreenLink North and the GreenLink West. GreenLink North runs from Urington over to Ely in general. And that's a 500 kV line with 4 gigawatts of power. That one is in the NEPA process. Our state office is leading the effort on that. And it is an EIS, and the decision is expected in April of next year. Construction would be expected to be completed by December of 2028. Next slide. GreenLink West was already approved, and they have their right of way. And you can see the different segments here right now. Segment 1, which I know it's kind of hard to see on the screen. It's way down in the south, down by Pahrump and Las Vegas area. That is the area that is under construction right now. Everything north of that, segments 2 and 3. 2 is near Goldfield. 3 is 3 and 4. Urington is right between segment 3 and 4. So those are in surveys right now. And some of those are in surveys now. Some of the surveys will start in January. There are some loops that are part of segments 4, 5, and 6, which is kind of the Lyon County and Carson City area. And so you can go to the next slide. One of those loops is this one here. It's a 345 kV transmission line in Silver Springs. And it's a loop because it literally makes a loop that links into the main transmission line. So this one is, the whole loop would be about 16 miles long. And 11, almost 12 miles are on the BLM. This project would serve multiple end users in that USA Parkway area, and including a Microsoft data center that is located on private land. The private land that's to the west there, that's where the Microsoft data center would potentially be. This is a critical component of NV Energy's regional transmission planning. So the next step on this is the contractor needs to submit a cultural report. We are expecting that this month, although we're getting kind of late in the month and we don't have it yet. So maybe next month. This is scheduled to be in service in 2029. Next slide. So I was talking about that 12th project, the Pine Nut Solar Project. So that project was determined by the proponent to not be a viable project. I don't think they were able to secure a power purchase agreement, and because of the delineation of the GreenLink project, you can't have solar projects underneath the transmission line, and the GreenLink project was going through that, and then they had to remove from their project design so much of the solar panels that it was no longer a viable project. So they have changed their project to a battery energy storage system instead of a solar project. So the project is now 103 acres. It's about 12 miles north of Urington. It's a 200 megawatt battery storage with on-site substation access roads and a gen-tie that would connect to the power grid. And right now they're in the baseline data collection stage of that. So NEPA has not yet started. It could potentially start this winter, but we have to still receive those baseline surveys and review them, approve them, and then NEPA can start after that. Next slide. So other lands and realty, I know you guys are very familiar with the Anaconda project. I don't have a lot of new updates on this one since the last time we were here. This is, of course, for the sale of 2,062 acres of public lands to Atlantic Richfield, which is a potentially responsible party for the contamination there. We published the final EA and proposed RMP amendment in May of 2005. And I think we reported that out when we were here last. The next step is to publish a notice of realty action in the Federal Register. We submitted that to our review process to headquarters. It has to go all the way up to our headquarters before it can go in the Federal Register. And I think the government shutdown significantly delayed that review. So it has not yet been published in the Federal Register. I know on here it says the decision on the land sale is expected by the end of this calendar year. That was the schedule we were on when we thought it would be published in August or September, sometime around there. We can't sign a decision until the notice of realty action has been published for 60 days in the Federal Register. And then we have to resolve any comments that we receive from that. So this is delayed quite a bit because of that. The Fernley land conveyance, this was a legislated action to convey land to the city of Fernley. Phase 1 is complete and that land has been patented. So that is now in the hands of the city of Fernley. We're currently working on, this as phase 2, but actually phases 2 and 3 to complete those. And we expect that to be done fairly soon as well. So city of Fernley will have additional new land on their hands. Next slide. The Sky Fiber Internet line, this is a fiber installation project that extends in both Lyon and Carson County. We have 3 applications total. All of the applications are within a current right-of-way for NDOT. So there won't be any new disturbance outside of those right-of-way areas. And those are the 3 different areas where the Sky Fiber line is. Next slide. For natural resources, we have a gather plan that we approved in July for the Lahontan herd management area. This was a priority project for us because the Navy expansion of the bombing ranges, B-16, the horses that did not go into the herd management area, but the horses that are part of that herd management area were extending into the land that is now the Navy's. And so before they fenced that out, we were hoping to gather those horses. So we did complete the gather plan for that. But there is not currently a gather on the schedule for that. So we're ready if at some point our headquarters office gives us the direction to gather those horses. The Pine Nut Mountains Restoration Project is a project in partnership with Walker Basin Conservancy. We approved a spring meadow restoration on 4 sites. We treated some invasive plants, and we also started fence construction of some sensitive areas. We'll continue that fence construction this spring. And then once the fence is completed, we will start working on reestablishing native plants, either by planting them or seeding them. And then last slide here, fuels and restoration. So we have pine nut pile burning along the Sunrise Pass fuel break that is scheduled to take place this winter on about 100 acres. So just when the conditions are right, we'll go out and do those pile burns. And then we also have an aerial herbicide treatment that will be conducted in the Mill Canyon area. And then follow up seeding after that. So that is the end of my presentation. Thank you for hanging in there with me because I met those first slides. That was a lot of new information that I wanted to make sure you had. But I'm happy to take any questions.
Appreciate the update. Commissioner Jacobson?
I may have missed it, but you had 11 projects and you said you'd touch on the
12th was the Pine Nut Solar Project, which
Okay.
is now the Pine Nut Battery Energy Storage System. Yeah, when we sent you that letter.
I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing that was the 12th because I didn't hear.
Yeah.
All right.
Commissioner Hockaday?
Yes, the last time you were in here, I had made a comment about visiting with the county on a lot of these projects as soon as they are considered to be in Lyon County. Plus, the governor did send a letter that said the county is the best place to go and have this contact before projects really get rolling. I don't see many of these companies coming to the county commission and saying anything about their projects and what they're considering. Yeah, I know they've got an application process and everything, but coming to us and asking us, hey, we're thinking about doing this in this area might be a good idea, because then we can say, yeah, that looks fine with us. We're pretty good with it, versus trying to put something right in the middle of a BLM area behind residential. Okay,
Yeah.
Which is what's happened in the past. So we want to make sure that our constituents are notified prior to anything going on in their areas. So I would appreciate that contact up front.
Absolutely, yeah, and we do tell all of our proponents that they need to work with the counties, the tribes, the stakeholders, you know, if they're in a community, they need to talk with the landowners, all of those entities. We strongly encourage them to work through that, those communications as soon as we accept their application as complete. I think that what is happening right now, we're not talking with any of the solar companies either because of the pause from the secretarial memo. So, all of those projects that you have on the list, with the exception of Libra, we still have a biweekly call with Libra. But our biweekly call is just to say, nope, we still haven't heard anything from the secretary. You still can't move forward. So all of those proponents have really stopped conversation about the projects right now. I suspect if for some reason the project were to move forward, then that communication would start with both BLM and with the county and other stakeholders. Right now, I think they're pausing all efforts.
You know, when you add up the projects, it's well over 30,000 acres
Mhm.
of property in Lyon County.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we need to have our involvement in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Sure.
John?
Yeah, thanks for the information and back to the acronyms, when we're talking about EISs, EAs, RMP, what was
I'm
RMP?
sorry, resource management plan.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay. And then, on the secretarial concurrence, that's a real fluid time, I'm assuming, or there's no like,
I have no indication of when we might hear from the secretary. You know, solar is not a priority for this administration. Wind is even less of a priority. We don't have any wind projects. But wind is the lowest priority for this administration. Solar is just slightly above wind, but it's still just not a priority for this administration. The focus for this administration is much more heavy on oil and gas and mining, hard rock mining, gold mining, and special critical minerals. And so that's really where we're getting a lot of our consensus from the secretary to move forward on those types of projects. I don't have any timeline or any anticipation of when we might hear from the secretary. I think we submitted our list of 10 in August. I can't remember the exact date, but I think it was in August that we submitted them and we haven't heard anything. There was a briefing on it, and I know Governor Lombardo had a conversation with the secretary, but that was months ago. So I don't have any knowledge of that.
6 months or 6 years could be
Could be.
either. And then, the last thing that last time you were here, we discussed the pine nut range and the Christmas tree harvesting is on hold. Is that still in effect?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the pinyon pine in the pine nut range, yeah, we have that as off limits. In that range, you can still harvest a pinyon pine from other locations, but within the pine nuts, those trees are going through a significant decrease in seeds, or they're just not populating the way that they should. It's a tribally endangered species at this point. So I don't anticipate that changing for quite some time.
Okay.
But Christmas, we just put our press release yesterday. The Christmas tree permits are on sale. So if you want your pinyon pine, there are other areas.
Alpine, I guess, is the best bet.
Yep, there you go.
Thank you.
Always good to go visit those areas too.
Thanks.
Commissioner Hockaday?
Yeah, just one final administrative note. When you send out, could you go black print on white rather than,
Oh,
because
Yeah.
with thousands of pages using black ink on the background, plus it's difficult to see,
yeah,
especially
sure.
for old folks.
Sure, I didn't realize you guys were printing it without the color. Yep,
I mean, it's beautiful on the screen.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah,
got to
got
print
it.
it up. It's,
sure.
thanks.
Any other questions or comments? Anything from Commissioner Keller?
Yes, I'm trying to find out where I can raise a hand on this thing and I can't find it. I wanted to agree with Commissioner Hockaday on reaching out to the county, but I want to know not just solar. I want to know about any project that you have going onto BLM land, because it's important for us to consider our transportation needs, our economic development. There's other things that we need to know about. So I'd want to know about anything that comes in.
Sure, thank you.
Seeing no other questions, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, 7B, time certain 9:15 a.m. for presentation only. Update on the Victory Logistics District project in Fernley from Mark IV. Rick Nelson and Scott Barnes.
Good morning, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Scott Barnes, Vice President Entitlement for Mark IV Capital. Major General Rick Nelson wanted me to extend his apologies. He's home this morning sick, so he's battling the flu, and he's sad that he couldn't make it here today. Next slide, please. This is a summary of the topics that I'll be covering today as an update for the project. Next slide. Just to recap our property history, Mark IV Capital purchased 4,300 acres back in 2019, which was formerly known as the Wade Project out in Fernley. Since then, we've acquired more acreage, and we have a total of about 4,700 acres in our portfolio out there in Fernley. We've built 4 buildings totaling about 2 million square feet. And as you'll see in our presentation, parts of our project are shifting to different uses, and we're moving forward. Next slide, please. This is a large-scale industrial project. We're seeing more other uses coming into play. We are looking at other opportunities, and we'll be talking more about the increased property valuation and so forth. Next, please. These are our permanent build-out numbers for employment, and we've had 2 different economic and financial firms working on our developments. When we went before the Fernley City Council 2 years ago, we were presenting these numbers as well. They are holding true. One thing I would like to add to this employment study and the numbers is we took a look at our transportation numbers. And the numbers have increased in the last year and a half. What we know is of the employed population for the city of Fernley, 75% now are heading west every morning to go to work. And you see that on Interstate 80. Our goal is to be able to provide more employment and employment and education opportunities out in Fernley, so those people can stay in Fernley as opposed to commuting daily to the west to Reno, Sparks, and the other areas. Next slide, please. This gives you an idea of the construction employment. Much like what you see on USA Parkway, in order to build these buildings and equip them, there'll be a large impact for the construction industry. Next slide, please. And these are our property tax numbers that we represented. The total build out will be approximately in 2043, and those numbers will grow over time. We'll be updating these numbers periodically as we go through construction and as we obtain more users in the park, where we can really define what is contained in those buildings. Next slide, please. Next, please. There we go. Okay. This is our total project, and some of the updates that you'll see is we sold about 300 acres to Microsoft, and that was done last spring. We've got a number of other interested parties, and because of about a dozen or so non-disclosure agreements that we've signed, I can't really disclose who is going in and what is happening until those deals are finalized. The property to the north of I-80, we're going to start master planning that community after the first of the year. And that will be primarily residential, but it'll also be institutional and commercial. What we know from talking to our prospective tenants and users, they ask us a couple of questions, and this will lead to a few of the other topics later on. They ask us, where's the workforce coming from? What is the training level of the workforce? And where are they going to live? Because a lot of the users are bringing in some employees from out of the state. And so what we're looking at for the North Fernley plan is residential at different levels, obviously, workforce housing, entry-level housing, and then second and third ratchet up housing. We also know that with a development of this size, we're gonna have to provide space for a high school, 1 or 2 junior high schools, and 2 or 3 elementary schools. And we have already been in discussions with Lyon County School District to start planning for those institutions. We know that we also need another fire station up in that area. And we're taking a look at possible hospitals with the inclusion of a level 1 trauma center, because we are just outside of that 30-mile radius from Northern Nevada Medical Center in Sparks. So we're looking at the needs. Of course, the commercial follows rooftops, so we've got to get the residential component done prior to bringing in some of those other commercial developments. Okay, next slide. As you can tell, with a project of this size, it's going to require substantial investment into infrastructure and utilities and transportation. Those improvements will make a definite positive impact for the region, not just for our development, but the entire city of Fernley and outside of the city of Fernley. Next slide, please. One of the investments we need to make is with regards to power. And you heard the previous speakers talk about GreenLink and a couple of the other power projects. We are in the preliminary stages of designing a power plant that'll be modular with different gas-fired units coming up. And so we're going to start that with 250 megawatts. And as the demand dictates, we can add these generators. And this is a Wasilla generator. And we will add these generators as needed, and we'll build up to about 1.8 gigawatts of power. We are working with NV Energy. We're working with a couple of other vendors for power, but also for gas, because we have to bring in a gas line for this to power these generators. To give you an idea of how much power 1.8 gigawatts is, if you compare that to Reno, Sparks, and Washoe County, NV Energy is currently generating 2 gigawatts. So this is another city almost. And part of the demand for this much power is the data centers and some of the other users that are coming into the park that require much more power than a standard logistics complex. Next slide, please. I spoke about transportation, and this is a project we're in design right now. And for Nevada Pacific Parkway. Nevada Pacific Parkway will create a link between Interstate 80 at exit 50 to Highway 50 alternate. And that will serve a couple of functions. One, it'll relieve pressure on that roundabout that's at Main Street and 95 alternate. And if you've driven, like, okay, you're nodding your head. You all know what that's like trying to get through that. This will also take traffic off of Main Street, especially truck traffic, through Fernley. And the truck traffic will come down 80, get off at Nevada Pacific Parkway if they're continuing on to Fallon and Las Vegas if they take this route. Same thing going back. The commercial traffic will be able to come up Nevada Pacific Parkway and get on I-80. So that's one of those win-wins for everybody. We, as the developer, are funding this. We have a raised grant, and we're also looking at formation of a special assessment district that serves our development for this project. Next slide, please. Once again, transportation, and this is very early and conceptual. This is just a line on a map, but we are also looking at a connection between exit 50 and into the North Valleys of Sparks. La Posada. You may have seen all this coming up last legislative session. It didn't go too far. We're looking at doing a corridor study and an alignment study, and also combining this with the much needed connection to USA Parkway. We found out, and this is thanks to to Rick Nelson, who has a lot of knowledge with everything happening military wise, that the Department of Defense wants a secondary and better connection between the Army Depot up by Sierra Army Depot, Stead Reserve Air Force Base, Fallon Naval Air Station, and Hawthorne Tonopah. So there's a couple of other funding sources that we're looking at to get a lot of this preliminary work done. Once again, this is preliminary, but it's if you've driven on I-80, you know when there's a wreck, with the problems and the challenges we have. Next slide, please. And I mentioned transportation. If you're not familiar, and the previous speaker did mention this, out of the 35 critical minerals on the list, Nevada has access to 21. And so mining is still one of our key economic growth factors for Nevada. We are looking at bringing rail into this project and the other area, not only to provide transportation for our users, our logistics users, but possibly doing some additional processing here. When you look at lithium and some of the other materials, a lot of that material is processed out of the United States and then brought back. And so we need to figure out how we keep all this more locally. There have been technological advances that have improved the environmental impacts that these processing areas have and processing plants. So we're talking to a number of those types of users, and we really want to capture most of those 21 critical element items. Next slide, please. And this is another aspect of our project. We have created a center of excellence. We are working with the Western Nevada College, and they obtained a $600,000 grant to move this project forward. As I mentioned, we've got 4 buildings. We occupy the front office space on the smaller building, and eventually Western Nevada College will be moving in there, taking up our office, and also creating classrooms, labs, and other educational facilities. Our goal is to be able to provide training for the region, not just our users. And the programs will probably start out with welding, HVAC, and commercial driver's license certification. But we are also making this program and space available to other users in our park. One thing we found out in talking with data center users, developers, and owners is it's such a new technology. There's no training for data center management. And also from an electronic standpoint, there's new training available for those people, not only to equip the buildings, but to maintain them. And so there's a lot of uses that are coming in that we plan to use for this center of excellence. We're also going to create a 59-acre area up against I-80, where we'll have space available for research and development, incubator space, and we are talking to drone developers and other high-tech developers. Just need the proximity to Fallon Naval Air Station. And so there's a lot of exciting things coming where our center of excellence can be a jewel for this area of Nevada. Next slide, please. And this is kind of our timeline. What we have to keep explaining to people is there's a lot of work that goes into a project like this before you even see the first building or you see anything going vertical. And right now we have 700 acres open up that we're grading. We're doing the infrastructure for the Microsoft parcel and other parcels. And that is all starting to take place. And unless you fly over it in a helicopter or plane, you don't really notice it when you drive by. As you can see, we've gone through and we've done our entitlements, which is a PD handbook, a development agreement, and a tentative map. We've done 2 final maps. We have our 3rd final map in process right now. We hope to record that in January. As you can see from the other timeline items, we're moving forward with Nevada Pacific Parkway, and you'll be pleased to know in January, we're going to start the work on the bridge, which is mainly an embankment fill area, which is surcharge or pre-loading, because the soil needs to be loaded and consolidated down before we can start putting the structure on it. So you'll start seeing that in January. We plan to start construction on Nevada Pacific Parkway in the second or third quarter of 2026. But you'll see the earthwork starting before anything else. You'll also see right now the rail spur starting to get soil deposit and material built up in that area as well. We've got a number of other things, like I mentioned, the North Fernley plan, that'll start in 2026. And we've got a number of other projects on the board coming up. We talked about power. We also are going to be working on wastewater treatment. And we'll probably be mimicking very closely what they're doing in the Stead area and the University of Nevada and Tumwa, the One Water Nevada project. Because water is just as valuable as gold. And if we can process wastewater and inject that into the aquifer, then release recycling a portion of that water. And yes, this will be treated to A+ quality. And if you haven't seen the facility up in Stead near the Stead Air Force Base or the Stead Airport, you can see that that's there. It's been constructed. Now they're starting to work on piping the effluent, the treated effluent and Class A water level out to American Flats. And that's still probably a couple of years left until it meets all the testing requirements and it comes to fruition. And then we have a number of other tasks that we'll be doing. And when I say tasks, I'm talking about huge projects. The power plant alone is about $1 billion investment. Next slide. And if you have any questions, I'm here, and I appreciate your time and attention.
Commissioner Jacobson?
Thanks, Chair. Thank you again for being here. I've sat through a few of your presentations. I was there for groundbreaking. And very, very impressed. My hat's off to you for the Center for Excellence, just getting that training where they can go to these your facilities. I mean, I could, listening to the presentation down the road, water treatment certificate or degrees or wastewater, freshwater, etc. And I'm just are you experiencing a delay right now on filling some of these spaces because of the fire station?
No,
on the shelf.
It's not because of the fire
Okay,
station.
that is a myth that I want to dispel.
Yeah, we have been in talks with tenants for our 3 buildings for 2 years. We finished construction 1.5 years ago, but with all of the political and economic uncertainty, they're having a hard time doing their business plan. And so we've seen one tenant just about go out of business because of the tariffs. We've seen a number of other things. So we're hoping that things stabilize in the first quarter of 2026. I mean, we've been on the 1 yard line for 1.5 years with a couple tenants.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And then you mentioned your special assessment district. Will that help with fire and EMT services?
No, this is strictly for Nevada Pacific and Parkway. And it's just a funding mechanism.
But there won't be built-in collection device to help with the needed fire and EMT increase in services.
No,
Okay.
That's it. We have the fire station ready to go to construction right now.
Right on.
Yeah.
And then the rail, obviously we have wonderful rail system going right through Fernley. How's Union Pacific as far as working with, and are you going to pay for it? We'll let you do it. Are they working with you?
They're working with us. Yes, we have to pay for it.
They don't realize that all the commerce that's going to come in and whatnot, it'd be good for them to chip in and help out on anything.
No.
It's a frustration for me. I don't know why they're not helping build that overpass over the rail as well. Union Pacific is not a good partner. So that's not your words, that's my words. That's all I have right now. Thank you, sir, for being here. This was once again, I enjoyed your presentation.
You're very welcome.
I did have a question, and it's related to the fire station again. building the fire station is great, but then it kind of falls to North Lyon Fire to figure out how to pay for staff to staff that building. Is there?
You are absolutely correct. We can't pay for staff.
Yeah.
State law doesn't allow that. So we're required to build a fire station. We're about ready to pull the permit. We're going to start construction somewhere in Q1 of 2026. And just similar to Story County, when they built their fire station out of Trick, probably will sit there a few years before it's fully utilized. Now, the fire department, North Lyon County Fire Protection District, could partially occupy it. They could do a number of things, but that's out of our purview.
Any other questions, John?
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. I too was at the groundbreaking and being a contractor for 30 years myself, I can appreciate what a massive project, just the dirt work alone. I mean, it's huge project. The Nevada Pacific Parkway, connecting 80 to 50. You said that's developer funded. Is that NDOT involved with that at all?
Oh, yes.
So.
And I failed to mention that.
NDOT's
been our partner from the very beginning. They're involved because with participation in the RAISE grant, they're the LPA partner. But more importantly, what I didn't mention, and please excuse me, is when we complete Nevada Pacific Parkway, we will turn that over to the city of Fernley. At some later date, and Fernley's been in discussions with NDOT about this, they will swap Farm District Road for Nevada Pacific Parkway. NDOT will take over Nevada Pacific Parkway. Just like USA Parkway, it's a link between two highways, or a freeway and a highway. And we are building it and designing it to NDOT standards. In fact, early this spring, we did a walk with 30 people from the freeway all the way down to the terminus of Nevada Pacific Parkway. And 3/4 of those people were NDOT. And we told them right from the beginning, this is the plan, and Fernley was there. And a number of other consultants, that we want to build this in a manner and design it, if we're going to redesign it, that is acceptable to NDOT because they'll be taking it over. And so that's been the intent from the very beginning. NDOT's been on board, and we have monthly meetings with NDOT to talk about this project.
Right. So yeah, it's built to federal highway specs, whatever. So
what is the timeline for that?
Like I mentioned, we're going to start the embankment surcharge effort in January. And then we'll start construction of the bridge and the road work probably in Q2, Q3. We have to give some time for the bridge surcharging to settle and consolidate. And so there's a number of steps, but that's why I say you'll see that coming up this spring. You'll see it being built up.
Commissioner Jacobson?
So thank you. And NDOT should be involved. I mean, we hear a lot of times in our commission meetings about the rat race Highway 50 is, but truthfully, if you're coming off of I-80 and you're going to that middle exit, there's cars parked on the side of I-80 to get off, and it's so NDOT very much should be involved because that's a death trap, and at certain times of the day. So,
Commissioner Huckabee?
They've been accessible and they've been out to our site almost monthly.
Yeah, the firehouse thing kind of tweaked my interest in schoolhouse. Your education center better be dealing with teachers, because if you have 100 homes, that's usually about 200 students, which means you need about at least 8 teachers plus administration. And I've seen this before as a planning commissioner in California. If you don't have schools for those kids, it's a lot worse than not having someone in the firehouse.
You're absolutely correct. And that's why our approach has been from the beginning to involve as many stakeholders as possible. And you've been out to our building. In our building, we have conference rooms, but we have a classroom. And we host probably 2 or 3 events a month in there where we're talking about all these different topics. Just we tackle one at a time. And the Lyon County School District has been to our building probably that I know 3 or 4 times this year. So we bring everybody in because we don't want anything to be a surprise. And that's why we're doing our presentation with you. And we keep coming in and doing these presentations, maybe quarterly to different groups, because we want to keep everybody informed and we want to keep this on the forefront of everybody's mind. So the issue of education, having teachers, having facilities and staff, and having the ability to plan years out is crucial for that, because not everybody can turn that switch on in a moment's notice. You've got to plan and ask for funding a long time in advance.
Thank you.
Commissioner Casanelli.
One last question on the power generation plant. You're going to invest $1 billion in that, you said, and we've seen because of the timeline that NV Energy tells us, they can supply the grid power. You're kind of forced to do this, and we've seen that on other potential projects. And the end result hopefully would be NV Energy eventually taking it over, correct?
Could be. We're exploring all of our options right now because we have hard deadlines with our users of when the power will be supplied. So we talk with NV Energy almost weekly or more. And we're also talking to the gas suppliers, and we're talking to other vendors. We're exploring other options like creating a municipal utility district and getting it started on our own. But there's always a chance that NV Energy may come in sooner or later.
Yeah, because
we don't want to be in the power business.
Well, exactly, and from what representatives of NV Energy are telling us is if these independent power generation plants are producing power at a much higher rate or more inefficient than what they can do, that they won't want to take them on eventually. So, I mean, do you see that as a hurdle? And how do we overcome that?
I mean, we're doing as part of our preliminary design, we're doing all the financial modeling, and we're coming in with lower rates. But that's, it's only early stages, so I can't promise anything. Can't promise what rates will be, because we're also working with the cost of gas. But we're looking at prices like that. That's why I'm saying we're talking with everybody, and we're going to do what's best for Fernley. Like I said, we're not in the power business, but we're also developers, so we understand that sometimes you just got to kick it into gear.
Yeah,
and you got to get moving, and you've got to stick to the dates that you promise.
Yeah, but your models show that being more efficient than what the grid would be. That's fantastic.
And we will, at a later date when we get closer to that, we'll be coming back to present to you updates with regards to power and other things. So we'll have, as we fine tune these numbers, we'll get more reliable data.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Keller.
Well, thank you for your presentation. I was one of the few that weren't able to go to your groundbreaking. I missed that, and sorry about that. But I'd like to come out and see your project when I get back into town. I don't have a lot of questions right now, so but I would like to go out to your place and visit and maybe have some questions out there.
And an invitation for all of you. You don't have to wait for a groundbreaking or some other event. If you want to come out, contact Rick Nelson or myself, and we'll give you an individual tour. We'll take you and drive you around, and we've got everything set up in our office so we can do on-the-spot presentations similar to what we did today here.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Does anybody need a break or want to continue on?
Oh,
Okay, we'll take, it's 10:09. We'll be back at 10:14.
thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 8, Commissioner and County Manager reports. We'll start with Commissioner Keller.
Hello, thank you. Well, I'm up here in Washington, and right now I'm in the Porter Group building. So we're meeting with our lobbyists. And matter of fact, we have some more meetings later this afternoon. I met with five senators up on the Hill. Those senators, Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota, Catherine Cortez Masto from our state, Dick Durbin from Illinois, Ben Ray Lyon from New Mexico, and Tina Smith from Minnesota. So quite a range. And I thought I would be kind of stuck talking rural issues, and they wouldn't quite follow, but it was well received. We had five groups meeting with five different senators each, or assemblyman. I happen to meet with five senators, and it went over so good. It's probably been one of the most productive times we've ever had up on the Hill. Next time that they have a fly-in for the rural caucus, everyone there wanted to expand it by another meeting for another day, to where we each go to 10 senators. So it was well productive group. So one of the things that we talked about was PILT and SRS, of course, for our county, and also rural capacity building. So one of the things that with USDA, and the main thing about that is that always we can't always get loans because we got good credit. We want to keep it that way, but we're working toward flexible grants to fund staff and planning coordination. Technical assistance was a big thing. Support for local collaboration, cross-sector coalitions, and rural development hubs, and tools and training to make it easier to navigate the federal opportunities that are coming up right now. We did push for the, what's it called? Rural Partnership and Prosperity Act. That's HR 6041. And everybody pushed that. It wasn't just our state. And hopefully that gets some co-sponsors to move forward. Every one of us asked every senator, everyone that we met, if they would join on. And all five of my senators were real responsive to that. So hopefully that gets through. Some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about on our next meetings that everyone brought forward, the main thing that everyone at the Rural Caucus wanted to talk about in the future was transmission lines, battery storage, and data centers. So I think the whole nation's talking about what's coming to Lyon County. That's the way I felt. I got a whole bunch of stuff that we're working on. I'm going to meet with USDA. That's my meeting this afternoon, and go over some of the energy sector, some of the transmission lines. They're basically for water, sewer, electricity, and data. So we'll meet with them, see what we can bring back to Lyon County on that. As far as other meetings that I attended, I can't remember all of them, but I did attend the Planning Commission meeting. And I think that's all I got. If anybody's got any questions for what's happening up on the Hill, I'd be happy to answer it.
Okay, any questions for Scott? Okay, we'll move on to Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you. Attended rural quarterly Board and Girls Club meeting along with the local fund committees, being chair of that. We I may have mentioned this in the past, but it looks like we've got over a $4 million building grant funded for early learning childhood that is going to be fully paid for. No taxpayer dollars, no county, no city. So we're very excited about that. Attended the Planning Commission meeting. Attended the building dedication ceremony in Dayton for the new government complex. Very excited crowd, and it was well done. I want to thank the folks for sponsoring that, and the great meal afterwards. Took a tour yesterday of Nevada Cement And listened in on some of their plans. It's upwards of 500 million. They want to stick into that facility. I want to thank Ray, Lewis, and Gavin. They were all there as well. And it was very impressive. And just super impressed with Ray, Lewis, and Gavin on their knowledge and questions they asked, and kind of helping out and planning the direction in which NV Energy needs, or Nevada Cement needs to do, to keep that ball rolling. Attended North Line Fire Blue Ribbon Committee, and working with them on that. Attended Nevada Works Zoom meeting, and zoomed in just a little bit late for the Furnace City Council meeting as the Nevada Cement Tour ran past 5. So that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Casanelli?
Thank you, Chair. Sat in on an interview with the Carson Rural Communities that is on KNBC 95.1 FM. Gave them kind of a rundown of what's been going on. Attended the Boys and Girls Club of Mason Valley's fundraiser, the Fantasy and Chocolate. That's always a fun event. Was honored to be the MC for the Dayton Chamber of Commerce Veterans Appreciation Dinner with special guest Congressman Mark Amadei, and I wanted to thank Chair Keller for attending as well. Attended the Planning Commission on Zoom. Also attended the groundbreaking for the Charles J. Kirk Complex in Dayton. Very excited for our Dayton community and the county as a whole to have that complex coming our way. It's going to be a good service for our residents there. Attended the flood preparedness workshop. Wanted to say good job to staff, Taylor and Celeste and Gavin. They were all there and got some good information out to some of our Dayton citizens with ongoing flood concerns. Attended a meeting with County Manager Hoskin and representatives from Story County regarding the potential restructuring of the Comstock Historic District Commission. I missed the Silver City Advisory Board, but I did check in with the chairman up there. Had some correspondence with him. Attended the NNDA board meeting and listened to a presentation from Jeff Brigger from NV Energy on the energy timelines. Myself, along with some of the board members of the Dayton Chamber of Commerce, had a sit down with our new Central Lyon Fire Chief, Tim McCarg. Attended the Campbell board meeting, and we approved the results of our regional transportation plan for the Highway 50 East, particularly in Mound House. It's a lot of the stuff that I wanted to see. I was pleased that it's in there. They've got a truck lane going up the dump hill heading east as you go into Mound House. On the short track, we've got street lights on that end, and eventually the flashing beacon, pedestrian crossing. Those are on the short track. Long term, we're going to have the high T's, limited left turns, future signal at Highlands and Red Rock, and a future roundabout at the 341. So that's progressing. Attended a workshop on Zoom with public. Oh no, I'm missing my place. Attended a workshop and a public outreach meeting along with Campo on that Highway 50 East End. at the Dayton Library, basically giving the results of that study and the recommended improvements out to the public. Participated in Zoom with the Nevada opioid assessment done by the Nevada Division of Public Behavioral Health regarding impacts of substance abuse in the county, in the community, and was invited to speak last night at the Dayton Township Kiwanis, and so had a good report to give to them. That's about it.
Thank you. Commissioner Harkedy?
I did attend the Planning Commission on Zoom, the groundbreaking government for the Government Center in Dayton. Also the Smith Valley Historical Society meeting, and we have reestablished the Smith Valley Cemetery Association, which owns the Valley Grove Cemetery. That new association will be myself, Senator Titus, and Mark Phillips as the secretary, so that we will continue pushing for that to become a historic site in the future, since it has most of the founding people for Smith Valley, the people who were there in the 1800s. So that's something that we're going to try to keep on the record. Also, the Smith Valley and Mason Valley Conservation Districts as a combined meeting here in Yerington at the Walker River Irrigation District building. We discussed the hiring of a new manager for the two conservation districts, personnel policy, and pretty much it was a marathon meeting, but we got a lot of business taken care of. While I was there, I discussed the water rights issues that we're facing here in Smith and Mason Valley. And that discussion was with Bert Bryan, the manager of the Walker River Irrigation District. And I was unable to make that meeting because I had an appointment. So we pretty much covered everything that was covered in the meeting that I missed. Other than that, didn't do anything.
Thank you. I attended the Comstock Meadows open house in Silver Springs, and that was very well attended. Attended the Planning Commission meeting, and I also attended the groundbreaking ceremony in Dayton. And even though it was such a windy day, there was a really large crowd there. I attended the NACO Public Lands Steering Committee, and our focus on that group right now has been PILT, SRS, and trying to get the gray wolf delisted. I attended a fundraiser for the Comstock Foundation for History and Culture in Gold Hill. And last night I attended the Carson Water Subconservancy District Board meeting. And the main thing we're working on that board is trying to find a replacement for Ed James. We have 12 applications at this time, and we're working on the scoring system for those applications. And he does plan on staying on for a while after to make a smooth transition, because he's just got a wealth of historical knowledge that kind of needs to be handed down. And that's it. Now, County Manager Andrew Haskin.
Good morning. Thank you, Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager, for the record. Sounds like everyone's been really busy, so I have as well. Just a couple of highlights. I had a meeting with NDOT just to get an update on the Highway 50 preservation project that will be starting. So just kind of talking through a few things there. They had some questions for me regarding access and whatnot, and so provided some clarification based on what the board has provided to me in the past, with the priority of keeping speed limits about where they're at currently. So good discussion there, and I think that project is moving forward on track time wise. So we'll have to see where that goes. Commissioner Casanelli touched on it a little bit, but we had a good meeting with Story County regarding the Comstock Historic District, and what the future of that district holds. So hopefully there'll be some presentations here in the short term to kind of provide some more information as to where they're going with that. And Just want to thank everyone for attending the groundbreaking last week. It was a really good attendance, a really good event. Really excited to get moving on that. I know they've already been out there moving some dirt and just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Any questions?
I do have a question. You're meeting with NDOT. Last time you and I met with them, we talked to them about upsizing the culverts. Was there any discussion of that?
I did bring it up again, but they didn't commit one way or the other on it.
Okay.
So I told them I was gonna continue to bang that drum and
Yep.
the project was done and continue on after that if it's not in that project, so.
Okay. Thank you.
One quick question, yeah, and actually, I was gonna ask that question too, because they were out there cleaning it out again this morning, but, again, with NDOT, can you clarify, you spoke to them about the upcoming project,
Mhm.
and the speed limit, they're saying now they're gonna keep it the same? I thought when the traffic signals went in that they were gonna lower it to 45. They're gonna keep it at 60?
I think 55 is what their plan
55,
is.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, and I know that was a priority for this board was to try and keep it
keep it a little bit higher, yeah.
roughly where it is currently. It can't stay at 60 because of the traffic signals and other things. They had some requests for some other access points that would have actually required the speed limit to be lower. And then kind of wanted to know what the county's take on that was. And again, based on the direction that the board has provided me in the past, I told them that our preference would be to keep it at the higher speed limit. It was also going to cause some delays in the project, and I said, well, we'd like to see it stay on track there, especially the right-hand lanes in both directions are getting pretty beat up. So
Yeah, for sure.
need to see some improvement.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions for the county manager?
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to item 9, elected officials reports. Do we have any elected officials? Seeing none, we'll move on to 10, appointed officials reports. And seeing none, we'll move on to item 11, advisory board reports. Do we have any of those? Mandy Bernand.
Good morning, Amanda Bernand, Stagecoach Citizens Advisory Board Vice Chair. This past year, the Stagecoach Citizens Advisory Board, along with residents of Stagecoach and the surrounding communities, cleaned up the area around and restored the Stagecoach World War II Pearl Harbor Memorial. And this included pulling weeds, raking, restaining, repolishing, and repainting the memorial itself, as well as restaining the wood supports for the Stagecoach sign and having new signs made that say welcome to Stagecoach. This was paid for by the Silver Springs Area Chamber of Commerce, which Stagecoach is a part of. And I don't know if you can see it, but my Zoom profile picture is a picture of this new sign, which looks very nice. And also, I did want to thank Doug Homestead and his group for his plans to fix up our flagpole, which had some issues this last year due to age and high winds. So at our last meeting, we finalized the Stagecoach World War II Pearl Harbor Memorial rededication ceremony and outlined a program. So the ceremony will start at 1 to 2 p.m. We'll start at 1 and go to 2 p.m. at the Stagecoach Community Center. And it will include the Carson High School Navy Junior ROTC posting the colors. The Reno Elks Club or Reno Elks Lodge choir will be coming out. They'll be singing the national anthem as well as other patriotic signs. The welcome address and rededication declaration will be delivered by our county commissioner, Hendricks. Thank you. We'll also have a 70-pound Liberty Bell replica that would be tolling the bell in honor of those lost at Pearl Harbor, and we will have a live bugler for taps. And I just want to say that Stagecoach is proud of this small memorial, and today we'd like to invite not only you, the county commissioners, but anyone else that would like to attend this ceremony. And for those of you that don't know, yes, Stagecoach does have a World War II Pearl Harbor Memorial. We've heard a lot of people say they didn't even know it existed. So stop by and see it if you can't make it to this ceremony. Like our little community of Stagecoach, it isn't large, but we are proud of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other advisory board reports, we will move on to the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and may be acted upon by the Board of County Commissioners with one action and without an extensive hearing. Any member of the board or any citizen may request that an item be taken from the consent agenda, discussed and acted upon separately during this meeting. Does anybody want to pull an item? Does any member of the public want to pull an item? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda items 12A through 12H.
Second.
Is there any public comment on that? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 13, utilities. 13A, for possible action, approve a contract with Walker Lake Disposal for an amount not to exceed $99,990 for biosolids hauling services from Rolling A wastewater treatment plant to the Lockwood and Carson City landfills. Sean Sinclair?
Good morning, Sean Sinclair, Interim Utility Director for the record. This is an annual contract that comes in front of the board every year. Based on the received quotes we got this year, we recommend Walker Lake Disposal be awarded the 2026 sludge hauling contract. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
I'm sure I'll make a motion to approve a contract with Walker Lake Disposal for the amount not to exceed $99,990 for biosolids hauling services from the Rolling A waste treatment plant of the Lockwood and to the Lockwood and Carson City landfills.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Jacobson, seconded by Commissioner Hockaday. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 14, Advisory Board. Item 14A, for possible action, acknowledge the resignation of Heidi Marty from the Mound House Citizens Advisory Board. We've all seen her letter, and we thank you, Heidi Marty, for serving on the advisory board. Is there any comments? Okay. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
I will move to accept the resignation of Heidi Marty from the Mound House Citizen Advisory Board and thank her.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Casanelli, seconded by Commissioner Hockaday. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. We will now recess to reconvene as the Liquor Board for Lyon County. Public participation. No action would be taken on this item until it's properly agendized. It's anticipated that public participation will be held at this time, though it may be returned to at any time during the agenda. Citizens wishing to speak during public participation are asked to state their name for the record. It will be limited to 3 minutes. The board will conduct public comment after discussion of each agenda action item, but before the board takes any action. Is there any public comment? Seeing none.
I have a question.
You have one. Yes, Commissioner Keller.
Is Sheriff Pope supposed to be on the liquor board?
He is, but he had another meeting he had to attend, so we should probably note that for the record.
Okay, we'll note for the record that Sheriff Pope is not in attendance. And we will go back to public comment. It is. Okay, seeing no public comment online or in the room, item 16A for possible action, approve Nevada State Importer Wholesaler Liquor License application for MJH Enterprises doing business as Lakeshore Premium Wines and Spirits per NRS 369.200. Stacy Lindbergh.
Stacy Lindbergh, Lyon County Clerk Treasurer for the record.
This is just a correction. We put in the summary for you that we had approved this, but there was an error on the state application. So the state is requiring this company to come back before the commission and get the contract corrected and re-signed. Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for? Okay. Commissioner Keller, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none in the room or online, I'll take a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the Nevada State Importer Wholesale liquor license application for MJH Enterprises doing business as Lake Shore Premium Wines and Spirits per NRS 369.200.
Second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Jacobson, seconded by Commissioner Hockaday. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Passes unanimously. We have our final public comment for the liquor board. Same rules apply. Does anyone have any public comment for the liquor board? Seeing none, we'll close that, adjourn to reconvene as the Silver Springs General Improvement District Board. Item 18, public participation. No action will be taken on any item until it is properly agendized. It's anticipated that public participation will be held at this time, though it may be returned to at any time during the agenda. Citizens wishing to speak during public participation are asked to state their name for the record and will be limited to 3 minutes. The board will conduct public comment after discussion of each agenda item, but before the board takes any action. Is there any public comment for the Silver Springs General Improvement District? Seeing none in the room or online, we will continue to 19 utilities, 19A. For possible action, to consider a petition by Microsoft Corporation to enlarge the boundaries of the Silver Springs General Improvement District sewer service area to include APN 015-141-13, 018-552-01, and 018-552-02, and to authorize the board chair to sign an order to incorporate the property. Sean Sinclair.
Good morning, Sean Sinclair, interim utility director for the record. Just wanted to add a couple things. The current GID boundary is just adjacent to the east of this project. And it also has existing infrastructure just adjacent to this project. Microsoft's been aware any upgrades that may be needed for their facility they'll have to take care of that. Also, they'll be required to purchase any required EDUs for their project. And one thing to note, this project is domestic waste only. There's no industrial flow proposed for this project.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you. So does that mean that septic or self-contained?
No, they would still.
Well, and have what?
It would be that, so they would still be, their toilets would flush to us, but just domestic waste. Any of their industrial flows that they're working, some of these, their concern can be if their cooling systems are gonna come to the wastewater treatment plant. That's not proposed with this project. So just domestic toilets, bathrooms, sinks.
Gotcha.
Things of that nature.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Keller, do you have anything?
No, thank you.
Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none in the room or online, I'll take a motion.
I guess I'll make a motion to consider to consider a petition by Microsoft Corporation to enlarge the boundaries of the Silver Springs General Improvement District sewer service area to include APN 015-141-13, also 018-552-01 and 018-552-02, and authorize the board chair to sign in order to incorporate the property.
Second.
Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager. Just to provide some clarification, the item was to consider it, but if it is your motion to approve the.
Approve.
Perfect.
Sorry.
Nope, no worries.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Jacobson. Who was our second?
Me.
Okay, seconded by Casanelli. Is there any public comment on this? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Keller, any opposed? Okay. Passes unanimously. Item 20, public participation. Again, no action will be taken on any item until it's properly agendized. It's anticipated that public participation will be held at this time, though it may be returned to at any time during the agenda. Citizens wishing to speak during public participation are asked to state their name for the record. Will be limited to 3 minutes. The board will conduct public comment after discussion of each agenda item, but before the board takes any action, is there any final public comment on Silver Springs General Improvement District? Seeing none in the room or online, we will close public participation and adjourn to convene as the Lyon County Board of County Commissioners. Item 21, County Manager. For possible action, approve a collective bargaining agreement with the Lyon County Sheriff Employees Association effective July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. County Manager Andrew Haskell.
Andrew Haskett, Lyon County Manager. So staff is recommending approval of the collective bargaining agreement that is before you. Some highlights out of that, it includes a 2% cost of living adjustment and a 1.5% one-time retention bonus that will be paid in December, but only for people that are employed with the Sheriff's Department as of today. It also includes $300, an annual $300 stipend for bilingual, for officers that are bilingual. That's a change. It was an hourly thing before, and they had to keep track of that. And so this is just a flat rate, but it does change it so that that there may be a test required to show that they are fluent. I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Are there any questions for the county manager? Any comments? Any questions or comments, Commissioner Keller?
No.
Okay. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none in the room or online, I'll take a motion.
I'll move to approve a collective bargaining agreement with the Lyon County Sheriff's Employees Association effective July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2026.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Hockaday, seconded by Commissioner Casanelli. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item 21B, for possible action, review and approve the proposed consolidation of administrative policies 1-8 and 1-10 for Commissioner travel and revised administrative policy 1-8. County Manager Andrew Haskell.
Andrew Haskell, Lyon County Manager. So in your packet is a revised travel policy 1-8 that includes it combined stuff that was in 1-10 that was missing out of 1-8 as directed by the board, and it added 3 things to the travel reimbursement. Travel for the National Association of Counties Annual Conference, travel for the National Association of Counties Legislative Conference, and travel for the National Association of Counties Western Interstate Region.
Okay. Questions or comments?
I do have a comment.
Commissioner Hockaday.
Thank you. The budget from Nevada Association of Counties has representative travel. 15,000 is allocated for the NACO president, National Association of Counties, and we're board members and other NACO board members for travel pursuant to NACO's travel policy. And that was from their draft. So I know on this policy, basically the beginning of our policy and one of the founding points of the policy is that commissioners will be approved for travel for those jobs that they are assigned, which would be what we are assigned in January. We are not assigned any jobs for travel with the National Association of Counties. We have taken those things under consideration. The board, in most cases, has voted to allow for that travel based on our budget. I look at the travel for the National Association of Counties as something that is a volunteer travel for us. And therefore, I believe we should eliminate those and mainly keep those under other travel as specifically approved by the Board of Commissioners through a formal board action, as we have done in the past. Part of that is, I've been on the board for 5 years. I've yet to see a dollar come back for any of the meetings that we have attended. Certainly we've tried, but in most cases, the only money that we have received in my experience has been when the county manager has gone to DC and discussed issues with our different congressional personnel. So that's kind of my opinion, that we've added a lot of mandatory travel that I don't believe is appropriate as mandatory, but maybe discretionary.
I disagree with that. When the county manager goes to Washington DC to try and get those funds, 2 of us go with him and we all give a presentation together. And when we are there, they've told us, and so has our lobbyist, that everyone comes and everyone asks for money, that the only way to get it is to show up in person. They actually suggest that we show up twice a year, but we never do that because it's not in our budget. And I just think having those bullet points in place are a wise idea. Obviously, if there's no budget for it, if we can't pay for it, we're not going anyway. So I just think it keeps us from having this fight over and over and over.
I do have a comment.
Commissioner Keller?
So I think there's a little misunderstanding of what NACO does and what we do when we're up here. We also protect our interest at Lyon County by making sure bad things don't happen to Lyon County. A lot of it is through influencing policies, making sure that the laws do not come after us or hurt us in any way. Most of what we were talking about just recently was trying to make USDA policy more flexible for the counties. And if you notice what we're talking about up here on the top of the hill, it's PILT, SRS, water, sewer, power, data centers, storage, battery storage. Those are all issues from Lyon County. We're influencing what is happening up here on the hill. Because of that, that helps us get the grants that we need to make sure nothing bad happens to Lyon County. But we're using the power of the nation to influence Lyon County. And I think that it's very important that we continue down that process. I'm meeting with our lobbyist right now. They attend these meetings with me to make sure that they can find out where the grants are, of what we've spoke about in those meetings. They follow up to make sure that bad things don't happen to us. So it's a partnership. We didn't used to have lobbyists, but now we do. And that's brought back quite a bit of money to Lyon County. And hopefully it brings even more. So I think like you said, we always fight over this issue. This is a way to stop fighting over this issue and just moving forward with Lyon County and making it a better county to live in. So I want to be proactive, and I think this is very important. So I've said my say, and I'll make a motion when you're ready.
Okay, is there Commissioner Jacobson?
Yeah, I have a few comments and I would agree, with Commissioner Hockaday. I think if we're gonna do these, we need to approve them, individually, for these trips. And I don't think we as county, the slippery slope I'm looking at is we can't just sign up or volunteer for something and assume the county's gonna pay. So now we're doing this by a death of 1,000 cuts, it seemed like. And we keep bringing back Board of County Commissioner travel. It's just the 3rd, 4th time I mean, it seemed like every meeting, we're gonna keep bringing it back until we don't, as a Board of County Commissioners, have to make a decision on staff travel, on Board of County Commissioner travel. And I disagree with that. And part of this, I'll just preference it as an example. As stewards of the taxpayer money, we go to the NACO conference in Las Vegas. Absolutely no reason to travel down there before what date was it? The day of the conference, because nothing happens till the afternoon. We're down there the day before and spending all day doing, I don't know what. You could catch a morning flight like I did. As soon as it's over, you catch a morning flight home or an afternoon flight home, and you save in motel rooms, lodging, whatever expenses. I don't know that we are, I don't want to say policing ourselves on some of this, but I think we need to be ultra conservative as a board on some of this stuff. We've already discussed positions not filled and whatnot. We have an in-house lobbyist. We pay the Twitter group. So I just think we need to go back, and any of these out-of-state travel, we need to approve, and we need to let the public weigh in, whether they're for it or against it. And I think by putting that in is a slippery slope. Also, C, since we're discussing the whole travel, mileage for regular and special meetings of other boards for which the individual commissioner has been specifically assigned to act as a board member by the chair of the Board of County Commissioners. What does that exactly mean? To act as a board member.
Yeah, and so it does say chair there, but really it's the Board of County Commissioners that votes on that every January, so that's all the different boards that's how I take it anyway. So maybe we need to take the word chair out of there.
I would recommend you take the word chair out of there, otherwise it looks like the chair can approve.
Okay. I'm just gonna take the chair out now, if that's what the motion is.
Is there any other,
Could be part of the motion.
is there any other comment on this?
I'd like just have a quick comment. I know I've been on the other side of this, and I believe that what we pay into NACO annually, I do believe we need our representatives there. And the seat at the table that we have currently has proven to be beneficial. However, to just have a unilateral approval on the travel, regardless of where we may be with our budget is not responsible either. So I think that in some cases the travel should be looked at on a case by case. So I would have to agree with Commissioner Hockaday and Commissioner Jacobson that we may need to look at them more on a case by case rather than just a unilateral approval.
I have a question for you, Andrew. If these come up and we don't have budget for it, then what would happen then? It just wouldn't happen, correct?
Yeah, I mean, the commission can't.
Because it would still come before us to choose who would go.
Not the way I understand the policy, actually.
Because normally we bring it, even before that, the ones that are approved, we bring it forward and decide who specifically is going to go based on our budget, etc. So there's already that safeguard in place.
I mean, just one thing. So, if the policy says that it's reimbursed, commissioners don't have to come for reimbursement, similar to mileage, like we don't, approve trips back and forth to the county commission meetings every time, right? So, that was how I understood the policy as well.
Okay. Any other comments on this? Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, Commissioner Keller, you wanted to make a motion?
Well, I just wanted to make the motion to approve as presented with Rob's amendment. And
Okay.
I did want to make a comment is that it doesn't mean that everybody needs to go to these things. It just means that you can be allowed to go to those things, just like we do at the state level. And to me, if you're not attending these meetings, or at least it's not there to where we can approve it, because we still do it. I mean, we're all responsible commissioners. We're not about to just say, oh, we don't have the money, but it says so in policy, we're taking off. It makes it so that Josh tries to put it in the budget so that we don't have these continued fights, so we don't have to have it every month. But if that's what we want to do, is keep doing it. But my motion is to pass it with Jacobson's amendment.
Okay, and do you have a second?
Just to be clear, Jacobson amendment was to remove the chair of.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second it. Moved by Commissioner Keller, seconded by Commissioner Hendricks. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay.
Okay, motion fails 3-2. Item number 22, agenda requests. Anyone have agenda requests?
Chair, is there an amended motion that somebody else would like to make? Commissioner Hockaday pulling those three and
Yes, that was the motion that I would have, is that we would continue business as we normally do under the other travel as specifically approved by the Board of Commissioners, which would pull the automatic funding for travel for the National Association of Counties legislation, the WER, and just the fact that we're going to be going to the National Association of Counties annual conference. If we have money, great. The budget works, great. But I would make a motion that we accept it with the elimination of chair and those three items. And continue our normal business of approving specific trips that aren't on our normal list of trips.
I'll second that.
Is that a clear enough motion? Okay. Is there any public comment on this amended motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay.
Nay.
Motion passes 3-2. Okay. Now we're back to agenda requests. Are there any agenda requests at this time? Seeing none, yeah.
I would request that at some point we get a presentation from NACO. And I would also request that we get a presentation from the Current Boys and Girls Club at some point, and Mason Valley, if they would like to. I know Mason Valley has been here, so they may not take up on the offer, but just extend an olive branch to those if they want to share some numbers, kind of what they're doing for our working class folks. And you'd like us to reach out to the firm of Boys and Girls Club and set up a meeting date.
Okay, thank you. Any others? Seeing none, we'll move on to 23 commissioner comments. Does anyone have any comments?
Good.
Wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, Chair.
Thank you. Down to item number 24, the final public participation. No action will be taken on any item until it's properly agendized. It's anticipated that public participation will be held at this time, though it may be returned to at any time during the agenda. Citizens wishing to speak during public participation are asked to state their name for the record and will be limited to 3 minutes. The board will conduct public comment after discussion of each agenda item, but before the board takes any action. Is there any final public participation? Please write your name at the lectern for me.
My name is Phyllis Hiskett. And I just want to make a statement and just to have it on record so everybody's heard me. With the booming growth of the data centers, the solar power storage, and now the high-net battery storage, it's a huge health issue. And I just want to just read this so it goes much faster. But here's just an example. Following the fire at the solar facility in Boulder City, September 23rd on 2025, lithium battery fumes released during the incident included highly toxic and harmful gases and heavy metals. Inhaling these fumes can cause immediate and long-term health problems. What is released? The Boulder City fire involved Tesla Megapack lithium battery units at the townsite solar site. When lithium-ion batteries burn, they release a hazardous mix of gases and particles. The combustion byproducts include hydrogen fluoride, a highly corrosive and toxic gas that can cause severe respiratory distress and burns the skin, eyes, and lungs. Carbon monoxide, a colorless, odorless, and poisonous gas that can cause headaches, dizziness, and even death by asphyxiation. Hydrogen cyanide, a chemical that can affect the respiratory and cardiovascular systems. Heavy metals include cobalt, nickel, and manganese, which are found in battery cathodes. Recommendations: if you suspect and you have been exposed to fumes, it is important to take precautions. If you smell chemicals or burning, evacuate immediately. So these are just things that, as the decision makers in Lyon County, we need to pay attention to because of the health issues. And it seems like almost everything is involving battery storage, the solar projects, the data centers, and again, Pine Nut, which is just battery storage. So I know I heard Commissioner Casanelli's video on the fact that they're trying to address the water issues with the data centers. So I'm thinking that we need to, as the government trying to take care of their people, we need to address something that's going to alleviate these battery, it seems to be the lithium the most, the battery storage, harmful effects, and these battery fires seem to be becoming more and more prevalent. And having one just a couple months ago right here in our own state. Yeah. So I'm just putting my plea to everybody that this needs to be addressed, and they just have to be far enough away from anything residential.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Jim DeChambeau. In addition to what Ms. Hiskett said, the proposed Copia data center in Mason Valley, if you look up a 1,000 megawatt data center, And the power it will consume 17 times as much electricity as the entire county of Lyon uses. So where's that gonna come from? 17 times as much power as the entire county uses. What are we gonna do? We gonna shut the power off to the courthouse and to the sheriff's office and to the agricultural wells? You know, we've got to think these things out.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Robert Berry. I live on 85 Penrose Lane. 20 years firefighter, US Navy, 15 years state worker. I've done a lot of rabbit holes here lately. Arizona is saying that they're using anywhere from 2.5 million to 25 million gallons of water a day, depending on the size of it. They're actually starting to shut down some of them things down in Arizona. And that's not even saying the health benefits. You know, so I mean, I think that where they're planning on putting this stuff, the way it's suggested is wrong. I've contacted the White House twice. I've talked to EPA 3 times, waiting on some more emails. Now that the federal government shutdown's over, I'm going to get some emails back. So for people not wanting this, the rabbit holes are going to go down. People are going to start going down them, and they're going to start coming up with more and more information. And I don't think it's in a good spot. I don't think they're good. I just wish that they had other alternatives.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Do we have a closed session today, Andrew? Thank you all for participating.